Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Dean here today with Burn 1, and I'm going to be giving you guys a video that I think is very important going into Shadowverse Evolve finally launching, and that is how to actually properly play the game. And I know I'm using digital Shadowverse because Shadowverse Evolve, you know, they're going to share a lot of similar things, and a lot of these play patterns and like how to identify both play mistakes and where you can play better. This is going to be very important in making sure you win, because like in digital Shadowverse, if you lose, you just queue up another game, right? But in paper, when you go to your shop challenge, when you go to the regionals, you have to play perfect every game, or you're going to have to look back on your game and figure out what you did wrong and where you could have played better, right? That's definitely going to be very important. So if there's a video for you to watch, I think this is the video. So let's get right into it. Okay, so a big thing with Shadowverse, and it's going to transition to Evolve as well, there's going to be some differences, is the mana curve. So every mana that you don't use on a turn is a mana that you could have used, but also you need to sequence things so that on the following turns, like, mana will like curve out better, right? So like I have this unlimited deck that I've been playing a lot recently, which is the Heal Haven deck, right? And making sure that you properly curve out is very important, right? So it's like sometimes you'll have to like you'll like want to Perpetual Despair on 3, and then like if you have the Bellerophon, if you have this and you're like going first, right, you need to be able to play it down on 5. You might need to like hold a card like the Spiritual Blow or the like one of your Accelerates, so that way you can curve out the 5 mana. So like even though like on 4 you might have like this plus like something else, you'd want to like maybe hold a 1 mana card to help you curve out better on the following turn. There's things like if you have the option on 3 between like this card and let's say like a 1 mana card, right? Like let's say that you have on like turn 3 you don't have this, but you have like this and this. It's usually better to hold this because this is 1 mana and this will tutor a card that's at most 3 mana, right? So then that way your 2 mana card, you'll be like wasting mana on this turn, but then like you'll be able to better allocate the cards and you're able to like actually put down the search. It's like all very contextual. I hope I'm actually explaining this well, because this is like something that's very hard. It's like once you actually start playing, you'll like realize like, hey, I could have curved out my mana better. I might need to commit this card to the board. Like if we see like you have this in your hand, this card you may not be able to put down till 6, right? So if it's just sitting in your hand on 2, and you know that you're going to be able to play this on 3, and you're going to have this on 4, plus like one of these and this, it's like you might just put this down on 2 just to get it out of your hand and increase your health. In physical, it would depend on the amount of card draw you have. But definitely, like, watching how you sequence your mana and trying to maximize your usage of it, and not only thinking of, like, how much mana can I use on this turn, but how is my hand going to transition into future turns. In Shadowverse Evolve, a big thing would be, like, how you utilize your, like, Evolves and your 1-drops and your tutors, right? I hope this is making sense. This is like something that's, like, the more you play, the more you'll understand like what this means, right? It's just like going to be like looking back on your plays and like seeing like what you did wrong. Next is like how you present, right? In digital, you don't really like you know like your opponent's going to do something on 5 or like 6, and so you can put down something like the Realm of Repose to try to make their like lethal lines like a lot worse, because a lot of especially in like digital, right? And I imagine in physical, eventually we're going to get things like, you know, like on when your opponent's going into like 8 mana with Forest, they're going to probably play down Rose Queen, especially if they got like a EX area filled with fairies. So you're going to want to try to set up a board where like they have to waste the Thorn Burst on your cards, or like in this deck, if I'm playing in Shadow and they're getting into like, they have like Grem Reactive, right? Like I want to be able to Realm of Repose to stop their lethal lines. Or in the Haven Mirror, where 21 damage is like around what you can do, right? With single Kel, being able to go to 22 health is like a way that you can like try to make that worse for them. So definitely thinking about your hand and how you're able to do it, and also knowing what your opponent's options are. So if you're against Haven and they have Themis Decree and the physical, you know that like maybe I don't want to go wide, I've got a guy on board, I'm going to evolve him and smack face, right? Like it's like you might evolve for like 1 extra damage, or like only have like 2 guys, like so that way they can't just like single spot removal you, but not commit fully to the board, because if you put down 4 guys, that's a lot of hand, and then your opponent's Themis gets like extra value. So you want to like force them into awkward situations where they're not maximizing their card usage, but you are. So that's going to be a very important thing. And then another thing is going to be bluffing. There's something that, you know, digital doesn't really have. You can rope someone in digital. It's kind of like being an asshole, but you can't like actively bluff, like, right? Like if you look at our previous video, we had D-Shift versus Dragon, and I told Kit at the end of that game something important that he could have done if like we were in like an actual game is when he sees that I've gotten over 10 spells and I'm like in a very dominating position, there is a line for him if he doesn't have lethal on board that like could potentially scare me off by just saying I'm gonna float 4 mana, because now I as a player will see if I can get double D-Shift and like force me like potentially into suboptimal plays where I have to respect the position he's in, like, right? Like if he has like a way to kill me on the following turn, and I guess like, so yeah, like the D-Shift thing is like a big one because that's such a telegraph play, right? It's like the D-Shift comes down, I banish 10 spells, I only have X amount of damage, right? And so you know when you play against that, if you have like a card that deals 10 damage, let's say I'm at like 14 health, right? There's no reason to put me below 10 health, right? Because like at 10 health I'm dead, right? You know I'm dead. Unless I float mana to then, you know, respond to you and try to, like, sandbag a turn. Or, like, if you have the Forte with Aura, you know that, like, okay, I can deal 7 damage. So as long as I'm 7 health or lower, it doesn't matter that I go down to 4 health. It doesn't matter that I go down to 3 health. You can, like, put up that bluff. And that's something that's unique to physical because of the quick play interaction. So it's going to be not only like properly curving out, but then also managing your resources in a way to try to force your opponent into like other lines of play. Because like even if you don't have the answer, like, right, but if you go down to 0 mana, your opponent knows you don't have the answer. They're just going to go in because there's no way they get punished. But if you like have the facade, right, like the outward facade of, hey, I have an answer for what you're going to do on the next turn, it does force your opponent to a really weird situation where like they may have to dig deeper, like play differently, and then you're able to hit them with like the actual lethal lines, right? And then on top of that, like, of course, there's going to be like the healing over to like be able to make like lethal lines much harder. This is going to be something definitely, because something that we don't have in digital that is in physical only is being able to heal over 20. But yeah, so that's like, I think I've like kind of explained everything like that really I can to get you guys ready. If there's any questions or you think that like maybe there's something I should explain a little bit better, definitely, you know, let me know. I'm definitely trying with these to just kind of like up our average skill level together, right? Like I want when this game starts popping off, I want people to be able to look to this channel or look online at all and have a just a good repository of information on how to get better. Because I can tell you how to play a deck, right? But like a deck is a deck. But like the actual game, like if you're good at the game, you can pick up any deck. That's kind of how it works. So yeah, hopefully I'll do some more of these, you know, especially like when it comes to my mind, like how can we help everyone and, you know, grow as a community. But until next time, this is Dean signing out.